It's named after an Indian genocider, Daniel Boone. He killed Indians. It's just ironic. I mean, it makes you wonder what does it happen to the psyche of a people who live on a conqueror's land, who live on the land that was taken from other people. I wonder about, I'm out of Louisville and it's named after King Louis, so what does that do to the psyche of people when you're named after an imperialist French emperor who their own French people chopped their head off? That's what we're known as for the end of all time. We're going to be known as Louisville. So King Louis XVI, his city is here in Kentucky. Why? Who knows? It's Louisville, and people say Loserville, and that's a pretty harsh nickname, but it does sound stupid. Louisville's Louisville. But what would it's not the exact same. It's not like Hitler taking over the Jewish lands and saying this is Naziville. That's what Clark County is. They went ahead. There's the sign right there, the Skippy sign. That's the only thing that we know about is Skippy, the last Shawnee town. Is that little sign that just passed there. And if you didn't stop and pull off to the side, it's not busy at 1 o'clock in the morning, but it could be busy later on. So it's Skippy. But again, what does the psyche? What does it do to the psyche of a people if we lived in Nazi town and it used to be filled with a bunch of Jews? How would the people develop there? I think they would grow accustomed to the Nazis being good and that the Jews were bad. They would go ahead and buy the official story that George Rogers Clark and Daniel Boone were just good people, just good, selfless, people that just want to do good for others. But that's not the case. They were totally in it for themselves. They wanted the glory and the power, and they killed people. They killed Indians, and they took their land. They took land that was not theirs. They forced Indians into treaties. They would forge Indian signatures. I mean, these people, it's like they signed like 200, 300 some odd treaties. And every time the European settlers reneged on their contract and took back their word. Why would you ever want to trust, a white person again? These European settlers, that's what we live in. This is Nazi County. Clark County equals Nazi County. So they're going to defend George Rogers Clark and how great and wonderful he was. He's a Revolutionary War hero is what the courthouse says. But he killed Indians, He killed Indians. He murdered and pillaged and killed Indians. Killed more Indians than everyone else, right? And he's known for being able to take like the Northwest Territory. I think he settled Louisville too. He's the one that had named Louisville. Or established it. So I think that's what it would do to the psyche. I think it would make everybody here not care about the Indians, marginalize them, push them out of the way. Yeah. Indians just something you learn in history class. Who cares? But what is justice? What would be justice for the ancestors of the Shawnee? Justice is eye for an eye. And so if you had the Shawnee just going around tomahawking everybody, saying this is my land, you think we would accept that? That's not the solution, but it is justice. So I think we need to come up with a solution so that way that isn't the only remedy. There definitely should be more historical markers. There should be a museum right there. There should be a building commemorating that land. There's some farms there. I think they are tourist attractions. They probably make money off this whole deal. But I think the government should be involved. I think we should just have a Kentucky Indian Museum. There should be a Kentucky Indian Museum right there, where Skippy used to be, and we should honor the heritage of the Indians and any Indians that remain, any Cherokee, Shawnee, Iroquois, any Indians that are here. I doubt there's any of them here. I bet this is like probably 96% white. Clark County is probably 96% white. It's definitely, I would say, less than 1%, probably less than 0.1% Indians here. So, knowing what we did to the Indians, we need to embrace our Indians, and we need to say, first apologize, but also treat them right, treat them decent. Let's start a different legacy, not one of cheating and stealing and raping and pillaging other people's lands. White people have been doing that since 1492. Still doing it today. A warmongering society. It's an empire, killing brown people all over the world. It's dark and bloody ground. Hatfields and McCoys. Kentucky's #1 for child abuse and child deaths and child abuse cases. #1 for fastest growing prisons. #1 for animal abuse, spousal abuse, and elder abuse. Basically, just violence all over the place. Just violence, violence, violence. It's dark and bloody ground. It's what Dragon Canoe warned Richard Henderson and Daniel Boone. It's dark and bloody ground here. You're gonna have a hard time settling this place. Some people seem like they're doing okay. It's a stratified society. So I look at all these houses, actually they kind of remind me of like plantations. They're big farms, and that's nice. I like poor peasant farmers, but the big plantations, the haciendas, they can't stand somebody who does something like that, just takes a bunch of land and just to say, hey, this is all mine and look how pretty it is. Maybe we should have some land reform, give every last remaining Indian an acre of ground. I think we should have land reform for everybody anyways. You want to jumpstart the economy? That's how you do it. When people have land, then they feel like full citizens. They feel like a part of the community. You also have a place to store your stuff and for your own protection. If you want to help out the economy, if you care about helping out the economy, Kentucky's one of the poorest places. We have one of the worst healths. #1 for cancer. We're #1 for pollution. So not only are we more violent than every other state in the nation, we're also dying off faster. So we're let's see, number one for a lot of things, actually, or top of the list of a lot of things. Man, I thought of one that slipped, but I was saying about the pollution and about the bad health. We got a lot of obesity here. What else is there? I don't know. Kentucky's got a lot of problems, and nobody's solving them. These are perennial problems. Gatewood is right. They've been perennial problems the whole time. Someone needs to have a goal of ending poverty and stick with that goal. We need to have media that actually covers and tells the truth about what's going on, not just someone who parrots the corporate government, the corporatist, and what their agenda is, but actually speak up for the people. So yeah, Kentucky's #1 for animal abuse in the entire United States, #1 for child deaths in the entire United States. We're also #1 for insanity in the United States. And the United States is actually the #1 country for insanity in the entire world. And all the industrialized nations. So Kentucky is the most insane of the most insane. Kentucky nation is the most insane of the American nation. Who's the most insane of the entire industrialized world? So, you know, we're #1. We're #1. We're also really high with binge drinking. I think we're #6 with binge drinking. We got a lot of smokers here. We die of heart disease, lung cancer. So we got alcohol, we got violence, Hatfield McCoys, bitter feuds, Michael Carneal, who started the white school shooting when he shot up a prayer group of girls in Paducah, which is one of the few cities in Kentucky named after an Indian. Paducah, I think named after Paduke, Chief Paduke. There's also Canoe, Kentucky, which is named after Dragon Canoe. And I think that's in Breathitt County. Canoe, Kentucky is out of Breathitt County. So yeah, that's basically all there is to the Indians that's left of Kentucky, was just that marker and a few signs for some businesses and some street signs, and no Indians, but a lot of occupiers. I think this is another reason why we can't understand Israel. America doesn't understand what's going on in Palestine because we think it's okay to wipe out a brown race of people in order to settle on their land. And that's what Israel's doing. They've nearly wiped them all out. They're keep on bombing them and killing them even today. And they ain't trying to do anything different. There's a Clark County Fairgrounds. So Clark County is on everybody's names, all the names of all the documents. Clark County, George Rogers Clark, George Rogers Clark. It's like, yay, go genocidal Nazis. And you want to say, oh, it's for the American Revolution. You don't like the revolution? I love the revolution. Tecumseh was way more revolutionary. Tecumseh came, probably, I think, I don't know, I guess that's speculation, but nobody knows where Tecumseh came from. But his dad was born in Skipakittiki, so was Blackhoof. And I think 2 of his brothers and his sister was born in Skipakittiki. So why wouldn't Tecumseh be born right here in Clark County? Blackhoof definitely was. He came back here and he recognized a lot of these old places. So let's memorize, let's immortalize Blackhoof and Puck Shinwa for having Tecumseh. Tecumseh's daddy was Puck Shinwa, and Puck Shinwa came out of Kentucky. Puck Shinwa is a Kentucky man. This is his land, and we should honor people's ancient burial grounds, people's roots, and we shouldn't be stealing and raping and pillaging and murdering innocent, defenseless people.